A 12-year-old British girl was removed from school for celebrating Britain on Culture Day. All children at the Bilton School in Rugby had been invited to take part in the school's Culture Day, where a variety of cultural activities would be taking place to promote inclusion, understanding and appreciation of backgrounds, traditions and heritages, according to a letter sent to parents of the school. Pupils were invited to wear traditional cultural dress instead of school uniform as an opportunity to proudly represent their heritage. So Stuart Field's daughter came to school wearing the Union Jack in the form of a dress, but the schoolgirl was removed and Dad was called to pick her up. He claimed she was told Culture Day is not for her as she gets to celebrate being British every day. Stuart slammed the school as woke lefty teachers who removed a white British 12-year-old girl for being proud of her country. She had been denied the opportunity to share her Culture Day speech, which her dad later shared online. She'd written, "Today I want to talk about my culture, British culture, and why it's important to me. In Britain, we have lots of traditions, including drinking tea, our love for talking about the weather, and we have the royal family. We have amazing history like kings and queens, castles, and writers like Shakespeare. It's also modern, diverse, and always changing, with music, fashion, and food from all around the world blending into daily life. And let's not forget fish and chips. It's also the way we speak, our humour, our values of fairness and politeness, and the mix of old traditions and new ideas. But sometimes at school we only hear about other cultures, which is great because learning about different countries is interesting and important. But it can feel like being British doesn't count as a culture just because it's the majority. I think culture should be for everyone, not just for people from other cultures or backgrounds. Being British is still a culture and it matters too. It's part of who I am. So let's celebrate all cultures, whether they come from far away or right here at home. Thank you." The story sparked fury online, and Tory MP Andrew Griffith said the girl should have received a gold star rather than punishment.
Briefly then, I want to ask you about this story that came about a young girl, 12-year-old girl. It was their sort of culture day, and she came in a Union Jack dress. However, she was removed. She wasn't allowed to do that. They weren't happy with that. Have you heard of that story?
I've seen a little bit of it on your excellent reporting, and if someone turns up in patriotic clothes to their school, they should get a gold star rather than be penalised. It's not the job of teachers, education authorities, local government, tin pot dictators to do anything that denigrates pride in our country. We seem to have lost sight of that somewhere along the way, and without knowing the full details of this individual case, people should absolutely be able to fly our national flag, celebrate our national colours, and celebrate the wonderful British history.
Andrew Griffith is the Shadow Business and Trade Secretary. Good talking to you today. Thank you very much indeed for answering all those questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our panel thought it is precisely British culture that should be taught to children in Britain.
She's wearing a Union Jack dress and a Union Jack hat, and she looks a bit like Jerry Halliwell did in the Spice Girls.
Yeah. So this is a story about a school in Rugby called Bilton School, and they have a cultural diversity day, and they ask the children to come in an outfit that demonstrates their culture and make a speech and write a speech about their culture. So this lovely girl, who I think looks, absolutely gorgeous in this picture, came in a Union Jack dress, and she'd written a speech about Shakespeare, about tea, about fish and chips, about the royal family. She'd really done it properly. And
quite inventive then.
Very inventive. And, having had 3 children, these days are a big deal, and a lot of preparation goes into them and finding the right outfit. And what's the school's response? The school's response is to say, no, that's not the sort of culture we want in our school. And apparently she was actually removed.
What culture? That's their own culture, the culture of the country.
Exactly. She wanted to celebrate our own culture. I mean, this is what we should be teaching our children.
Yeah, I mean, look, we do live in a multicultural society, and I think it's right you celebrate cultures, but within a British context. And this is at the heart of the debate about migration and integration. We ought to be recognising British culture, we ought to be celebrating it, and we ought to be celebrating the values that exist within it, that they're a given that everyone here should sign up to.
I am not English, and the Union Jack is a very divisive thing in Northern Ireland, where I'm from. However, I buy into the fact that I have come to mainland UK, and this is the main club, and those are the rules. And I think people, if they come to live in England, or they should buy in to the rules. That's what I think. No debate, no argument. It's not about, various other things. And within that, I can celebrate St. Patrick's Day, and I can do lots of things as well. But this just seems awful that they're reflecting different cultures in their school, but won't reflect a culture like this, which is their own.
And also when you've told the children to actually write a speech about celebrating your culture and your heritage, and a 12-year-old has made that effort. What's
the child's reaction or father's reaction? What do we know? How they responded to this? Or?
Well, I mean, I think he was very disappointed. He certainly doesn't look happy in this picture. I mean, to be fair to the school, they have subsequently apologised. What they should actually allow this girl to give her speech.
To make her presentation.
Make a presentation to the full assembly and celebrate, her hard work.
Well, as somebody I know very well said to me that her child, during that culture day, St. George's Day it was actually, and their primary school was opposite a big school called St. George's as well, and they weren't allowed to talk about English and St. George and all that sort of thing. And they the school made the kids celebrate and recognise Spanish Day that particular day. So I don't know, what is the issue? What is the problem? Get over it.
Schools have been under hot water in recent years for enforcing woke ideology. Just last year, GB News revealed children at one school in South London had been punished for refusing to use non-binary pronouns for their teacher.
What is mix? I've never heard of it. I feel like this teacher doesn't know who she is, bringing their issues to the kids. I've never had any problems with the school before this. There have been assemblies about being kind to those who are different, but nothing like that. We had no idea of this policy. Where does that leave us as parents? I don't want to teach my child that. The school told me I have to move with the times, but what happened to knowing who you are? She doesn't know who she is. They're saying this is their policy and we have to respect what the teacher wants, but I don't want to teach my child that. My child is allowed back into lessons now, but the school is saying the teacher must be addressed as mix. I told them no, that is not happening. My child is really anxious. They think they're going to be bullied. My child is not going back in that class. I regret sending them to that school. I feel like I've let them down.
A spokesman for Stowe Valley Trust, which runs Bilton Secondary School, said it offers unreserved apologies to the family. At Bilton School, we are proud of the diversity of our students and the rich heritage they bring to our community. We're committed to fostering an environment where every pupil feels respected, valued and included. On Friday, July 11th, an incident occurred during our Culture Celebration Day that caused considerable upset to one of our pupils, her family and members of the wider community. We deeply regret the distress this has caused and offer our sincere and unreserved apologies. We've since spoken directly with the pupil and her family to listen to their concerns and reflect on how this could have been handled better. We're committed to learning from this experience and ensuring that every student feels recognised and supported when expressing pride in their heritage. As a school, we're reviewing our policies and strengthening staff training to ensure our practices reflect our values of inclusion, respect and understanding for all. Nicholas Dunning, GB News.